The time is 7 o'clock, and we're on February 8th. This is the postponed meeting from last Tuesday night when we had the snowstorm. This is regular session number 44, and tonight we've got the opening session starting with Michael Leeper, who is a seminarian at Our Lady of Lourdes Parish, leading the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, Michael.
In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. We stand before you, O Holy Spirit, conscious of our sinfulness, but aware that we gather in your name. Come to us, remain with us, and enlighten our hearts. Give us light and strength to know your will, to make it our own, and to live our lives. Guide us by your wisdom, support us by your power, for you are God, sharing the glory of Father and Son. You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance, corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. You live and reign with the Father and the Son, one God, forever and ever.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Alderman Ertz.
Here.
Alderman Hamilton.
Excused.
Alderman Van Buskirk.
Here.
Alderman White. Here. Alderman Pardue.
Excused.
Alderman Melson.
Here.
Alderman Azier.
On his way.
Alderman Mock.
Here.
Alderman Kramer.
Here.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Here.
We have a quorum. This time I'm going to call upon our good friend Chief Lynch to assist us in the swearing in of new police officers Frank McDivitt and Uriel Ojeda.
I think they're working.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Downstairs, they're looking for somebody in, they have to bring them back, but they're not making it.
Would you do me a favor at least and maybe talk about these officers a little bit, if you would, and just maybe. We've got time allocated for you, Chief, and I just hate to give time back.
Officer Frank McDivitt, he's 21, and he graduated from the police academy on the January 20th. And then Uriel Ojeda, he comes from Illinois. He's got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He speaks Spanish fluently. And he's moved to this area from Illinois. And we currently have two officers in the academy, Blue River Academy, Miles Spandel, and some of you might remember his dad, Steve Spandel, was there for 20 years, and Joe Holt. And then we also hired John Gilligan, who wants to be a police officer, but he's only 20 years old and he's working in booking for us. And he has an associate's degree, Blue River. He wants to be a police officer right now. So apologize for not being here tonight. I assume that on the streets working, and hopefully get to introduce you evening.
So that's 4 new officers.
That's 4 new officers, and it's my understanding we're getting ready to hire 2 more.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to public comments. This is a time for those citizens in the audience who would like to address the board. This is particularly, comments are welcome regarding and are limited to city business. That would be items within the Board of Aldermen's control. These items include such as those on the agenda and items of general interest in the community. Personal attacks are not permitted, advertising any personal business, phone number, website, or email address is not permitted unless myself or the board ask you for that information. So at this time, I don't have a list of those that have signed up. So would anyone in the audience like to? Andy, I'm sure you've signed up. Good to see you out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Alder people. Chief Lynch just remarked that he hired 4 new officers in the process of getting another 2. And I'd like to point out that this is probably under the tax voted in to cover public safety. And there's been a lot of complaining on the Raytown report that officers aren't being hired. Now here I'm seeing 6 new officers being brought in. Obviously it's being done. And you guys have probably noticed how bad the weather is out there. I'm dealing with blizzards in 2 different cities right now. And I'm here now. And there were a lot of complaints on the Raytown report that City Hall closed last Tuesday at noon and opened Wednesday at noon. And people were complaining about that. I can't understand why. I think it was very appropriate. The weather is bad. And did anyone who was complaining really want to come transact city business? I think it was appropriate due to the safety of the workers getting home. And city business transacted in a normal way. The roads were cleared. And the police and fire were working. If somebody had an emergency, they'd call 911. It's not like no one was here. And as for the roads, I'd like to say our crews did an excellent job on them. This was a very bad blizzard, the worst it's been in a long time. And I appreciate the work that these people have done. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy, for that. Anyone else in the audience that would like to talk to the board tonight? Once, twice? Yes, sir?
Mr. Mayor, Aldermen, good evening. I'm Anwar Khan. I reside in 5516 Hunter Terrace, Raytown, almost 30 years. I raised my children, 2 children. They were born there. They went to school. They graduated from Raytown High School, and I am proud for that. Raytown is a good place. It's a good community. That's why we all are here. People come here for quality life, raise their children for good school, and live for peace. That's what we all want. But recently, for the last several years, things has changed. Almost every day, there is some gunshot or gun battle, beat up, robbery, carjack, car is stolen, gang violence, drug, making Raytown very unsafe for everyone. Crime is everywhere. We are not safe anymore. Not long ago, one of my friends was shot and killed. People like Greg Ford, Kathy Harris, Jennifer Kentel, Tommy Francisco, and hundreds others gave their statement right here. And in person of you, and you all witnessed their statement. This crime making our city ruined. Citizens are moving out, real estate value going down, houses for sale, the sign almost everywhere. Many businesses are closed, almost no new businesses coming. Of course, there is 2, except IHOP and Sutherland. But that's not enough. We need more small businesses. Collectively, they are combined. They bring more opportunities. They're the real big employer. That's what we'll be looking for. Downtown is hurting, no new jobs. I will leave a question to the board. Is there any immediate plan for preventing this crime? It is a privilege to announce that I am the only candidate.
If you're making this a political statement, sir, that is not welcome in this House.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Thank you. I just want to say that I have been in the city for a long time. I just need the improvement in the city. I just want to let everyone know that there has to be some improvement, and I'm ready to do that. And I wish best for the city. At this time, I can say this much. Thank you. Thank you for all. Raytown.
Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board tonight? Okay, we're going to move on. There are a lot of very good things happening in this city. It amazes me that people like to talk about the negatives. When our roads crew were out last week in a snowstorm, one that's not hit this city for years and years and years, our public works folks were out. They drove almost 3,600 miles between Sunday and Thursday, making our streets clear. Over 242 man-hours, using 11 vehicles, the most vehicles we've had on the streets in years. Years past, we only had 2. This board, this administration, has worked with previous administrations to continue to increase the number of vehicles we have on the road. Our budgets have increased to allow more vehicles, better maintained vehicles, newer vehicles, and well-trained staff are out there making our roads safe, and some of the best in the metropolitan area. I know firsthand I had a chance to ride along with these guys, and I know that Charlotte Melson did as well, and probably some of the other aldermen. It's a good experience to be out there to see how hard these folks work, and they put their best into it for us. Other good things that happened with our community. This last Saturday, I had the opportunity to visit Our Lady of Lourdes taco dinner. Alderman Mock was there as well, as were a number of others. Another good time within our city. A lot of fun, a lot of festive nature was there, a lot of good people. It was also fun to see Kiwanis Trivia Night. You know, sometimes our department people and our heads and our city employees get a lot of flack for not being involved. But it was fun to see that John Benson, who is the president of the Raytown Kiwanis chapter, hosted that event. John is our city planner. There were 12 teams there. There were over 100 people involved from our community. Young, fresh faces involved with what's going on in our community. A lot of good, positive things. Mahesh, the floor is yours for city administrator comments.
Good evening, Mayor Bauer and Board of Aldermen. Just to let you know, Joint Legislative Forum, and if you recall, this is a forum with School District, Chamber of Commerce, and City of Raytown. They invite the state legislators, and they have 3 meetings outlined for February, March, and April, last Friday, from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. The February and April meeting would be at the administrative building for the school district, and March 25th meeting would be right here in the Chamber of City of Raytown. Lot has been already said about the snow removal operation, and this is one of the operations that I always mention is one of the best that city provides services to our citizens. In the blizzard condition, with the amount of snow and the duration of the snow, our guys and gals have done a wonderful job to make sure that our travel is safe. And I know in the past, whenever we have a situation like that, we used to get number of complaints. I'm proud to say that this time, the number of compliments received by the staff is outweighed few complaints. I have received number of emails, and I tried to respond to most of them, but with the response that I receive, I can tell you the ratio was overwhelming, and the compliments we received. And at this point, I cannot take credit to the crews alone, but credit goes to the governing body as well. Without your support and commitment, we would not have the full staff, we would not have the equipment, and for that, credit goes to you as well. Also, if you have noticed, the demolition work for the Dodge building is underway. The permit was issued yesterday, and while I was going for a lunch, I have noticed that demolition has already begun. And soon you will see a development on that property. Missouri Municipal League have a legislative conference in Jefferson City on next week, February 16th and 17th. Legislative co-chair Michael Lightfoot would provide a little bit more information on that event. So I will move on to the next item. On your legislative agenda, you will see tonight we have a study session from the Raytown Parks and Recreation quarterly report. This study session is based on the input we received from the governing body. So as you hear the information Kevin provides, I think it is important for the staff to hear, if you received the information that you expected, would you like to see some additional information? Then please provide your input once he is concluding his report, so that in the future, staff would provide you the information as expected rather than repeating the same information that may or may not be useful for your purpose. So your input would be appreciated, and with that, I will conclude my report.
I'm going to go right on to Legislative Committee Co-Chairman Michael Lightfoot to report.
Yes, sir. Several of the other board members and myself will be attending the 41st Legislative Conference in Jeff City. I've been in contact with Gary Cross, Republican from the 48th, Representative Tom McDonald, Democrat from the 49th, and Michael Brown, Democrat from the 50th. We've got meetings scheduled with all three. This will be a good opportunity for us to share ideas and gain support for Raytown's objectives.
Very good. Thanks, Michael. We have a report from Finance. Ms. Melson?
Yes, we do have a Finance Committee February 22nd at 6 o'clock here in Council Chambers. And I would like to acknowledge that I did ride along on the Public Works, one of the vehicles in the blizzard, and appreciate Tony Mesa as I grabbed the handle many times during the trip. It was very interesting, and I also agree with Mahesh that with the Board of Aldermen, with the new vehicle we bought, with the different trucks and the GPS system, it has worked wonderfully. I did have an issue with somebody that called me about a street. They checked the GPS. Nope, nobody had gone down it, so somebody went. So I think it's really, really, in the 12 years I've done this, working very well. And I really appreciate that. I also appreciate Raytown Parks, because they assisted with the cleaning of City Hall and also the EMS building, because the other trucks were just trying to get the roads done. And there was just no way that they were going to be able to match that. And I know that they did that several times, so I appreciate that also. Thank you.
Ms. White, Municipal.
There will be no municipal meeting in February because of tonight's meeting, so our next one will be in March.
Any other committee reports? Mr. Mock?
Yes, sir. Council on Aging wasn't able to meet last month due to a small snow blizzard, or to a small blizzard. This month we will be meeting on the 17th. That will be Thursday at 4:15. And I also would like to say thanks to all you guys out there beating that snow. That was incredible. I mean, excellent. I wish you guys should have saved me a donut at least, but other than that, thank you.
All right, very good. No other committee reports? All right, we're going to go to the study session, and again, we've got Raytown Parks and Recreation quarterly report. Kevin Boji is wearing his best. Our new Parks and Recreation Director, Kevin Boji. Not our new one, our existing Parks and Recreation Director. He looks new tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, and pleasure to be here. Members of the board, appreciate the opportunity to present this quarterly report tonight. If there's any additional information that you would like, please feel free to give me a call, and I'll be happy to provide that. There's 5 divisions within Parks and Recreation. Currently, there's Parks Operations, Administration, Aquatics, the Recreation Division, and BMX. Parks has a total of 11 full-time employees and between 120 and 130 seasonal employees that work primarily at Super Splash. We manage 10 properties totaling 176 acres and 60 undeveloped acres in the city. Raytown has 7 neighborhood parks with 33 acres under lease from Jackson County out at Little Blue Trace Park on 87th. Raytown also has 2 special use areas, Super Splash, our water park, and Raytown BMX. We also have 1 historic property, the Rice Tremonti home at 66th and Blue Ridge Cutoff. Thanks to Raytown voters, the August 2nd park stormwater sales tax, 8-cent sales tax passed by more than a 60% margin. Sales tax revenue is estimated at $280,000 a year. The sales tax generates 1 penny for every $8 spent on goods in Raytown and expires in 2021, or 10 years. Back in 2003, the Park Board promised voters that 80% of the sales tax would be allocated to operations and capital and our capital budget, with no more than the remaining 20% dedicated to right-of-way maintenance. Currently, we are spending around 30% of our sales tax on right-of-way each year, and this increases slightly each year as new facilities are added. Our right-of-way maintenance locations include the gateways at Gregory and Raytown Road, the gateway at 63rd and Blue Ridge Cutoff, gateway at 63rd Street Bridge, and the gateway at the Old Railroad Bridge and Raytown Traffic Way, as well as the Pocket Park. Parks and Rec is responsible for the maintenance of landscaping at several strategic public areas, including City Hall, the Eubank Fountain, and the Welcome to Raytown signs. Raytown Parks and Rec supports community service organizations, including the Raytown Arts Council, Raytown Girls Softball League, Rice Tremonti, the Raytown Tree Board, Council on Aging, and the Raytown BMX Board. On October 7th through 9th, Raytown hosted 256 motos at the BMX Central Division Redline Championship. I'm not familiar with the term moto, but I believe it refers to the heats, number of races that they have out on the BMX track. The event attracted over 400 racers from Texas to Minnesota, so it was a nice draw for the community. In December, a Victorian Christmas program was held at Rice Tremonti home. Rice Tremonti also applied for a transportation enhancement grant for improvements to the house's roof and sidewalk, but did not have the adequate funding that was required for a match on that. In December, 2 Park Board members resigned. Since July, the Park Board has had 1 open position. Now we have 3. The Park Board currently has 6 appointed members, 9 are required, and several new Park Board applications are under consideration tonight by Mayor Bauer. In fact, we have, I believe, two appointments this evening, so that's good news for the Park Board. The Park Board is contracted with Trans Systems for professional design services at Minor Smith Park. The Park Board has approved final design on January 18th, and construction is expected to begin March 1st with completion by July 31st on that new bridge down at Minor Smith Park. That'll replace a 30-year-old wooden structure that was built by the Raytown Jaycees in 1977. So it'll be a nice addition. I'm going to skip over many of the next details in the Recreation Division and Administration Division. I'll try to highlight the important things in the name of brevity. So, Parks and Rec Department tries to offer reasonably priced programs that are self-sufficient, including volleyball, tennis leagues, and so forth. We haven't had a fee increase in our programs in over 2 years. We're going to be looking at that closely this year. Our trends indicate a 25% decline in participation. That's a big number. And the revenue in some leagues. We've noticed that since we don't have indoor facilities, when we're lacking younger players aren't registering and that type of thing. And advertising, getting the word out on programs is critical for us. We use our website and any resource that we have, but without a program guide and so forth, it's more difficult. The administration division, our park shelter reservations increase every year. We've seen a 10% increase over the last few years. We've accepted over 50 reservations at 2 of our largest park shelters at Coleman and Carnegie Park. And all the park shelters are rented every Saturday from May through September. We could really benefit by building additional large park shelters in a few of our key areas of the parks. We're in the process of updating the park's website and starting to hire for positions in the summer months. In the aquatics division, we're seeing an annual increase in per capita spending and revenue. A decrease, 7% annual decrease in spending per capita. Our swim lessons, oddly enough, are going up 3% a year. We're seeing more kids signing up for swim lessons, so that's good news. Average 5-year attendance at Super Splash is around 42,000 swimmers. 2010 per capita spending, $2.53 a person. 2011 Super Splash operating dates will be May 28th through August 14th this year. We're planning some new programs, the early bird discount, the family swim night, which was very popular in 2010. We saw our numbers jump on Thursday nights and so forth. Coordinating swim lessons. The park board has restored budgeting for marketing. We cut $20,000 from our budget back in November. The park board has since felt that was an important component of the park and has restored funding. So we're going to find those dollars somewhere in our budget. Some of the repair and maintenance projects at Super Splash include caulking all the pools, replacing main pumps, rebuilding the avalanche pump, repairing the deck at Jackson Hole, and so forth. We spend around $25,000 a year on maintenance. Our Parks Division, we're very proud of the work that they've done. They assisted Public Works in the city with the Christmas tree installation at the Pocket Park. Thanks to Mike April and Bob Sago, park staff planted over 1,000 donated daffodil bulbs at Raytown Road and Gregory and the Carnegie Park. Staff are currently repairing the Welcome to Raytown signs right now. We're trying to do that at our cost, $150 a sign versus $500 if we contracted that work out. One interesting note, at Kritzer Park this fall, a generous Raytown resident donated a bench valued at around $750 in the name of a retired Raytown educator. The bench is located on the walking trail at Kritzer Park at 75th and Woodson. Staff has poured the concrete pad for the bench, plaque, and other features, and it's interesting to note the park bench was constructed or built by the Missouri Corrections Department inmates. They have a program where they put those folks to work, and we're trying to utilize that. Parks Division also received a $10,000 trim grant to conduct a tree survey in all parks. The tree board has received a $2,500 grant from the Truman Heartland Foundation for an arboretum at Kritzer. We're in the process of removing dead and dying trees at Coleman and Southwood Park, trying to clean up those areas. Our insurance, our loss control folks suggested that we cut our 5-row bleachers down for safety reasons. And long story short, they required a backrest so that kids wouldn't fall off the back of the 5-row bleachers. Our staff decided the best way to address this, instead of buying a $2,000 kit to retrofit the bleachers, would be to remove the last 2 sets of seats. So they're now 3-row bleachers. So we saved some money there, and less seats, but it's a safety measure that we were required to take. We're installing additional video cameras at certain parks to reduce vandalism and deter criminal activity. Winterizing the parks is complete now. We've installed some rocket kritzer on the south side of the park. The Park Board's goal is to ensure improved quality of life for residents through responsive leadership and resident-driven programs and services. To that end, each employee has a vested interest in cost-effective operations and maximizing revenues while trying to reduce expenses. We try to leverage our local dollars every year. We've applied for a $75,000 Missouri Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. Requires a 55% local match to renovate the 4 Coleman tennis courts. Total project should be around $210,000. Financially, the Park Board is challenged with decisions that reduce costs while striving to maintain current service levels. We've noticed revenue is not keeping pace with expenditures. Sales tax revenue and revenue from fees and charges is down. Property taxes increases barely keep pace with inflation. We do have a friend of Raytown Parks organization. It's a 501c3. They continue to do fundraising and planning activities, but it's a small group and their funds are very limited at this time. Regarding the TIF, the Park Department estimated $280,000 sales tax revenue has been impacted by roughly an estimated $65,000 portion of the TIF agreement allocated to parks. To ensure a balanced budget as mandated by state law, the Park Board has reduced operating expenditures with reductions to programs and services. Enterprise Fund. Super Splash has operated as an enterprise fund from the beginning since 1988. Like other businesses, it is required to maintain a positive cash flow after expenses to remain solvent. Yet Super Splash is nearly broke even due to deep expenditure reductions. We continue to experience declining revenue and attendance at our water park. Aging parks. Maintenance has been deferred on many of Raytown's critical park infrastructure and facilities. This is a concern for the Park Board. Parks require asphalt overlays on parking lots and trails, ball field drainage issues, replacing aging playgrounds, and repairs to park shelters. Between 2005 and 2011, no major construction projects were completed. The Park Board budget is crafted to ensure that residents receive the best value for their tax dollars, but a spending freeze remains in place. In 2011, for the first time, the Park Board will utilize reserve funds instead of sales tax revenue for capital equipment and projects at a cost of over $300,000. The major projects this year include replacing the Minor Smith Bridge that we referred to earlier, renovating the tennis courts at Coleman Park, and replacing 3 vehicles. New equipment purchases for Super Splash will be deferred again till next year. It's important to note the Park Board has no debt service whatsoever, none, and hasn't for over 10 years, and that's an important component. The Park Board's been very conscious to keep spending under control and watch where those dollars are going. In summary, the Parks and Recreation Department has carefully managed resources and continues to move forward. Projects and programs that don't meet certain criteria and did not directly benefit residents have been reduced or eliminated. The Board is well aware of budget restraints and equally challenging competing issues. The Park Board will continue to deliver on our long record of progressive leadership, responsiveness to citizen input, and outstanding parks while trying to strive to improve citizen health and providing a better quality of life. Thank you, and I'd be happy to address any questions.
Mr. Kramer, you're first up with questions.
Well, mine's not so much a question as it is a statement. As liaison to the Park Board, I've been very impressed with the leadership Mr. Boji has exhibited. We've been through some tough economic times, and he's kind of laid that out tonight and done an excellent job. But the people that are under him, he's done a good job of motivating them, as he talked about on the benches, and that's just one idea that people within the Parks Department have come up with. There's many awards that our park employees have received, and achievements that they've received, and that's been under the leadership of Mr. Boji. So I just want to say a job well done. You guys do a great job. Missed the last couple of meetings because of scheduling changes and stuff like that, but just the highest compliments to what you've done.
Thank you.
Mr. Ertz.
Yeah, just a couple of comments I think worth knowing also. First, I'm very glad to see that bridge return in Minersmith Park down there. That's been quite a problem for quite a while, and I'm glad we finally got that going. I think another thing, which I don't know if you guys ever keep track of it, but it seems to me that having lived close to Carnegie Park since 1994, that it seems like attendance in our parks has gone up a lot. Of course, having the skating area there has probably added a lot to that, but I mean, you are serving more and more people. I didn't know if you keep stats on that, but what was your last capital improvement project building the skate park?
Yes, Carnegie West improvements, the new shelter, parking lot, the playground on the north side, and so forth.
I know it's changed the area a lot. I mean, you have kids coming from all over the city, skateboards going down the streets, and I know there's a lot of other issues, and I know you work well with our police department to patrol that over there. I believe the neighbors, if it's done at 10, I think they're all pretty happy with that. But I am glad to see our parks used so much, which just goes to show that they're very nice. The comments, when we see so many people from outside of our city using our parks, I wish there was a way that it's kind of nice to be honored that they know our parks are good, and that's why they come there, and that's why they say, well, we don't have nice parks in our town, so we come to Raytown. Hopefully they're shopping at our stores and buying our gas and our groceries for their picnic there, but I do appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Kevin, I know before Mr. Kramer gave you some comments, and before you say them, I know you'll be passing that right on to the board, because I think the park board, Bob Smith is here with us tonight, they've done a great job, and those are all volunteers, and I know that they support you and that they've been doing a good job as volunteers. We're excited to add, hopefully if the board approves it tonight, 2 additional volunteers to that again keep the tradition going well. The park board's done very well for us for so many years, and I know that they support you in what you do as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mock. Oh, the cup. Okay.
Somebody else?
It's yours, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to also thank you too, Kevin, with all the work you and your employees take care of throughout all of our parks, the way they look today. One, I was coming, is on the assisted on the Christmas tree in the pocket park. I'd like to thank you guys for helping out on that. That was a lot of help. I mean, people don't know what we went through to get that thing there. But there's 5 gentlemen that also on the pocket park for the lighting ceremony that never got thanked for what they do about, the last, 5 years on this. They've been putting up those lights. Is Mike April, Bob Seago, John Ness, Chuck Woby, and Terry Landers. And I'd like to give them big thanks for everything they do around the community. So, but with that in hand, one day I would like to see the parks and the city partner up on that someday. So, but other than that, I do have a question about advertising. I know that there's the one Carnegie sign. How much advertising do you get out on that?
We try to post upcoming events and so forth, and if the city has functions they would like to advertise, we're happy to put that up. That sign's been there a long time, though. It probably needs to be replaced.
Yeah, it sure does. Mm-hmm. Is there any more advertising, any other signs around the park?
That's the only marquee type sign that we have in the parks. We use the website where we can, and the city's website, and the local papers, the Raytown Times, but it's primarily it.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about the advertising earlier today. There is one last thing, and I toured this with Kevin, what was it, about 3-4 months ago? Or no, not even that long ago. The facility, where their storage facility there is at Coleman Living Good Park, I witnessed where they had a lot of things stacked to the ceiling. And if there's any possible way the city could possibly work with them on this, we have a storage building there at about 85th and Westridge, where they could probably use some help about if they could possibly get in there. I'm surprised they've never asked this before, but to get some of that stuff removed out of that building, to give them a little bit more room. I know during those winter hours, trying to work around everything is quite can't come up with a word, but if there's any way we could help them out where we could all start working together on this, okay? Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Mock. Other questions or comments for Ms. Boji, Ms. Melson?
I just do have one comment. If you could provide like a list of the board members for the park board, that's something I don't think that we have access to. So, especially with the 2 members that we have coming up later in the meeting, but that'd be something that I would really like to be able to see, just kind of keep tabs on who's on what board, and also on your need for other members, so we can look at that.
Well, I have it to you tomorrow.
Very good. Mr. Van Buskirk.
Speaking of advertising, I know that sometimes there's a small billboard that's used across from Super Splash to advertise. I think if we utilized some of the billboards that we have available to us in the city, if there's the funds to do it, I think it would behoove us to do that. They work, and I'd like to see us utilize those. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Thanks, Mr. Boji.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that you do for the city. This time we're going to move to the legislative session. We have several items on the consent agenda. Would anyone on the board desire that any one of those items be taken from the consent agenda and treated separately? Mr. Kramer has the motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Ms. White. Discussion before we vote. Call the vote, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman White?
Yes.
Alderman Nelson?
Yes.
Alderman Ertz?
Yes.
Alderman Van Buskirk?
Yes.
Alderman Mock?
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot?
Yes.
I know that Ms. Sipes is here, and Ms. Sipes, I want to thank you personally and on behalf of the board for volunteering. I know that you're a very busy lady as it is, but we welcome you to the park board, and we look forward to you helping and being a part of the